He wanted to be remembered for the fear he created and the puzzle he left behind. And in that regard, he won. So, what do these stories leave us with? The frozen image of Jean Benet, the covered mirrors of Villisca, and the taunting ciphers of the Zodiac are more than just mysteries for internet sleuths to debate. They are stories of profound and unending loss. For the families, there is no final chapter, only a life sentence of what if. These cases stick with us because they represent a fundamental, primal fear that evil can strike without reason, disrupt the most mundane moments of our lives, and vanish without a trace. They remind us that for every case that is neatly solved in an hour-long episode, others remain open, their victims waiting in the silence to be given the last word. The search for answers isn't just about closing a file or winning a debate. It's about honoring the memory of those whose futures were stolen. It's about giving a name back to the families who have lived in the shadow of a question mark for far too long. If you have any information on these or any other unsolved case, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, please contact your local authorities or the FBI. Your piece of the puzzle could be the one that finally brings a story to its long-awaited conclusion. What are your theories on these cases? Do you think the Ramsey case will ever be solved with new DNA? Share them respectfully in the comments below. And if you want to continue exploring the world's most enduring mysteries with us, make sure to subscribe. The search for truth is never over. Police, hands. Show me your hands. Those are the last words a fugitive wants to hear. But for the men and women of the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force, those words are the finish line. They train for the worst-case scenario every single time they get out of the car. They have to, because when you stack up on a porch in the middle of the night and you prepare to breach a stranger's home, you never know for certain what is waiting for you on the other side of that wood. It could be an empty room. It could be a terrified family. Or it could be the barrel of a rifle. In the vast, sprawling landscape of Texas, a quiet war is being waged every single day. It is not fought on distant battlefields, but in the driveways of suburban neighborhoods, in the dust of forgotten rural counties, and in the neon shadows of major city streets. This is the front line for an elite team of law enforcement officers, a specialized unit born from the nation's oldest federal law enforcement agency. They are the hunters. They are the closers. They are the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force. Their mission sounds deceptively simple. Find the people who do not want to be found. But the execution is a complex, high-stakes game of 4D chess played with life-and-death consequences. They hunt the violent offenders that society fears most. The murderers, the gang leaders, the predators who have slipped through the cracks of the justice system. To the average citizen, they are a ghost unit. You will likely never see them work. Their successes rarely make the front page of the paper, but their impact is felt every time a dangerous criminal is quietly removed from the street, locked away before they can hurt someone else. The U.S. Marshals Service has been chasing fugitives since 1789. George Washington signed them into existence. Today, that historic mission has evolved into a nationwide neural network of 56 local and 8 regional fugitive task forces. These units are the absolute tip of the spear in America's fight against violent crime. Just look at the numbers. In fiscal year 2024 alone, these task forces arrested over 74,000 fugitives across the country. That is a stadium full of violent felons taken off the board. But how do they do it? The secret isn't just firepower, it's collaboration. The Lone Star Fugitive Task Force is a hybrid engine. It combines the sweeping, unlimited jurisdiction of the federal government with the gritty, street-level knowledge of local police officers, sheriff's deputies, and state troopers. They are all deputized. They all carry the same badge. They work as one mind. This fusion is critical because crime does not respect maps. A local police department might be hunting a murder suspect, but the moment that suspect crosses the county line, the local cops hit a jurisdictional brick wall. They have to stop. But the marshals, their jurisdiction ends nowhere. When a violent fugitive runs, they don't respect city limits or state borders, so neither does the task force. To understand the weight of this badge, you have to understand the darkness of the targets they pursue. These are not people who forgot to pay a parking ticket. In January of 2022, the task force was handed a file that sent a shockwave through the entire law enforcement community of Texas. The name on the warrant was Oscar Rosales. Rosales was wanted for the capital murder of Harris County Constable's Corporal Charles Galloway. The details of the crime were sickeningly brutal. It was a routine traffic stop in the early morning hours, the kind of stop officers make thousands of times a career. But before Corporal Galloway could even radio in the license plate, before he could even step out of his cruiser, Rosales allegedly exited his vehicle with a semi-automatic rifle. He didn't hesitate. He opened fire directly into the windshield. It was an execution. And then, just as quickly as the violence erupted, Rosales vanished. When a police officer is murdered in the line of duty, the world stops. It is an attack on the rule of law itself. For every officer on the street, it is personal. You look at the photo of the fallen deputy and you see yourself. You see your partner. For the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force, the mission became singular. Find Oscar Rosales. He was immediately escalated to the Texas 10 Most Wanted Fugitive list. The theory was that he was running south, sprinting toward the border, straight into the task force's backyard. The hunt began in the nerve center of the task force headquarters. It doesn't look like a TV police station. It looks like a data processing hub. This is where the shaking the tree begins. Tactical intelligence officers started the painstaking, exhausting work of building a digital profile of a ghost. They pulled phone records. They analyzed the movements of known associates. They looked at past addresses, vehicle registrations, social media pings. A fugitive on the run lives in the shadows, but they cannot be invisible. They have to eat, they have to sleep, they have to call someone for money. The marshals know that every fugitive makes a mistake. It is a mathematical certainty. The job is simply to be watching when they do. But the first 48 hours were a blur of frustration. Associates claimed they hadn't seen him. Old houses were empty. The trail was cooling with every tick of the clock. And then the intelligence shifted. The task force developed strong information that Rosales wasn't just hiding in Texas. He had crossed the line. He was in Mexico. This changes everything. Now, you are not just dealing with a fugitive investigation. You are navigating an international diplomatic minefield. You cannot just drive a squad car into Mexico and kick down a door. The U.S. Marshals have no authority on foreign soil. The operation now relied entirely on the strength of a handshake. The relationship between the Marshals and their counterparts in Mexican law enforcement. This is where the Marshals' global reach flexes its muscle. They passed the intelligence package to Mexican authorities. This is the man. This is what he did. We believe he is in your jurisdiction. And then they waited. The wait is the hardest part of the job. Hollywood shows the shootouts and the car chases, but the reality of fugitive hunting is often 12 hours of sitting in an unmarked car, staring at a door that never opens. It is patience weaponized. But on the Rosales case, the fatigue didn't matter. You feel the weight of the fallen officer's family on your shoulders. You are carrying the badge for him because he can't carry it anymore. You don't get tired, you just keep hunting. After 3 days of around-the-clock surveillance and international coordination, the phone finally rang. It was the call every investigator lives for. Mexican authorities had located Rosales at a hotel in Ciudad Acuña, just across the border from Del Rio, Texas. They had him. But the mission isn't over until the cuffs are on. The arrest was executed by Mexican police, moving swiftly to take Rosales into custody without a firefight. He was transported to the International Bridge, the thin concrete line that separates two nations. In a solemn, coordinated transfer, he was walked across the line and handed over to the waiting U.S. Marshals. That moment, seeing the target in the flesh, hearing the click of the handcuffs, is the only closure that exists in this line of work. It doesn't bring Corporal Galloway back. It doesn't heal the grief of a family who lost a father and a husband, but it answers the question. It ensures that the person responsible will face a judge and a jury. It is the delivery of a promise. The capture of Oscar Rosales was a high-profile victory, but for the task force, it was just Tuesday. The true story of this unit is written in the sheer volume of their work. Since its founding in 2005, The Lone Star Fugitive Task Force has apprehended over 58,000 fugitives. That includes nearly 1,800 murderers. These aren't just statistics in a spreadsheet. They represent thousands of violent crimes prevented, thousands of victims who received a measure of justice. Their work extends into every dark corner of the criminal world. Take the case of Caitlin Armstrong, wanted for murder in Austin. She didn't just run. She tried to become someone else. She fled to Costa Rica, used a fraudulent passport, and even altered her physical appearance to disappear. The task force tracked her down anyway. It took 43 days of international hunting, but they found her in a hostel and brought her back. But the mission isn't always about hunting killers. Sometimes it is about saving the innocent. Through initiatives like Operation Not Forgotten, the task force pivots its massive resources to locate missing and exploited children. This is a different kind of pressure. When you are looking for a child who is at risk of trafficking or abuse, the clock is ticking louder than you can imagine. Recovering a child, pulling them out of hell and returning them to safety, that is the fuel that keeps these officers going when the burnout sets in.